You might be wondering why I'm standing in the garden holding what is left over, mostly, there's still a little bit in there, of fermented tomatoes. Now, fermenting actually is my favorite method of food preservation now, because it is the least labor intensive, and also it doesn't produce hardly any heat during the hot, scorching days of the summer. Well, here is why I am holding this jar of tomatoes. My new favorite method of, and please forgive the messy garden. I obviously am in the middle of lots of things, and I'm not the healthiest person in the world, and thus things tend to get behind for me in the garden. So I previously shared in a newsletter that early this year I had leftover remnants of my fermented tomatoes from last year. And I still have more fermented tomatoes from last year. And I put them actually in one of these trays. It even could have been this actual tray. I put soil in here. It was Happy Frog soil. And then took one of these. Once I'd already eaten the tomatoes, there are still fermented seeds in there. And I spread them out, and then I put a little bit of soil on top, watered them. And that's where I have a lot of tomatoes from now. And the germination rate is astonishing. Actually, I didn't mean to do that. I just stepped over this. Now, yesterday I came out here, and the sun just now came out. Yay. As you can see, everything is wet, so now things are going to be scorched again. Most of my plants, not most, but many of my plants are both leggy and sun-scorched. I've never had that combination before. Just saying. I did this, I grabbed, this is maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, one of these I had, the remnants of again, and put them in one of these, because last year I grew onions in these, and so I had the soil, and so I just dumped it on the top and added a little soil on top and watered it and left it alone. And I think every seed germinated because this thing was just full. And so as you can see, I still have some here that I haven't transplanted yet. But yesterday, all of these I transplanted. These are all tomatoes that were in here. All of those I transplanted yesterday. And over here, not all of these were from that. There were, let's see, this is Lady's Thumb back here, by the way, a wonderful edible that you can forage. And this right here is second year of wild lettuce. I do have wild lettuce seeds up on eBay, which I'll link to. I think maybe probably four of these tomatoes down here I had already. And the basil I already had. This is, I think it's called Siam basil. This is my second year growing this type of basil. And I am having a much better germination rate from my basil this year than in previous years, because I saved the seeds of my basil last year. So I always encourage seed saving. Let's see, because this is a very difficult environment in which to live. I'm going to stop talking here for a second, and I want you to listen. We are in the middle of a woods. I'm still working on the fence back here. You can hear maybe 3 birds. Maybe 3. In the middle of a woods. In a wooded area. This is a rural area. I'm going to take you and show you something else real quick. Again, I have just a mess of stuff everywhere. This, by the way, I've shared previously, is my makeshift greenhouse. Use what you have. We had boards, scrap boards, scrap lumber, and I have this greenhouse plastic, and I had plastic totes, and that is what I use to get some things started early. Besides my no transplant winter sowing, which again I will link to. And by the way, I was is this the one that I was experimenting with? No, that one's elsewhere. I was experimenting with drilling holes in buckets for the purpose of water filtration. That was what that bucket was there for. Look. See these beautiful, beautiful blooms? See all my orange daylilies? See all these beautiful blooms? Look closely. Do you see what's missing? Do you see something missing? Many of these blooms are open. We don't use chemicals here. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no Bluetooth. What you hear above me is the air conditioner. Cell phone isn't used here. Do you see something missing from this picture? I sure do. I sure do. Look, look. This is a woods, you guys. Again, I hear maybe 3 birds. Right now, I hear mostly crickets. Literal crickets. Where are the birds at? Where are they at? On another topic, do you hear chickens? Do you hear me talking to chickens? Yeah, I took my chickens out. No more chickens for me, ever. Ever. I don't think it would be merciful of me, quite frankly, to have chickens here. Back in 2020, per SpaceX's website, this county that we're in, which is a very rural county, and it's the sort of area where people just want to be left alone, and they like to grow things and hunt and be in nature. Ooh, speaking of nature, I'm going to show you something real quick I'm very excited about. I'm going to have to deal with this. Yay. According to SpaceX, this is a targeted county. I'm hearing crickets during the day most days now. Where are the pollinators? I have more flowers here than ever before. Ever before. The wasps and carpenter bees were doing pretty daggone good. But as of the past month or so, I've barely seen any. Gonna have to pollinate everything by hand. Oh, another thing I wanted to... Well, you know what? I'll just tell you. The tomatoes that I showed you earlier that I transplanted yesterday, we had a really, really bad storm here last night. Really. I don't know the last time we have had a storm that strong. That storm last night, those tomatoes, I said to myself, it's going to storm bad tonight. And if these tomatoes that I'm transplanting are looking good tomorrow, if they say, you know what, we got this, we're good, then they are the kind of tomatoes I'm going to keep around. I do not have the time to baby plants. I do not have the energy to baby plants. This world is not my home. This toxic reality that we are living in, that is increasingly toxic by the day, is not designed for life. And thus, again, I reiterate, when you have plants that do well, save those seeds and plant them the following year. If you need if you're looking for hardy cucumber or tomato seeds, I have lemon cucumber seeds, and I may have some tomato seeds that I can dig out. I definitely have mullein up on eBay, and I definitely still have, I have lots of mullein seeds if you need mullein seeds, and I still have wild lettuce seeds up there. Let me know if you need those seeds. I can't give it away to you for free because seed saving can be labor intensive. But look, here's what I was excited about a minute ago. I have been keeping an eye on the other locations. These are wild blackberries, guys. See these dark ones? Here we go. See that? Yeah, you're ready to pick. I have been keeping an eye on the other areas, but I haven't come down here and looked down here at these guys. So these are my first berries that are going to be ready, which means I need to get my, what I call my combat gear on, jeans and a sweatshirt and gloves, and come down and pick. I'm so excited for these. So excited for these. But the only thing that we did to grow the wild blackberries, which there's more growing this year than previously. It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, praise the Lord. It's amazing. Okay. But the only thing we did basically was to disturb the ground here. This was a woods, and now there's a house here, and we have a garden and such. We disturbed the woods, and we didn't mow. Well, we mow on our septic area because we gotta. But that's all. Well, and I do some trim mowing now here and there. I will link to the battery operated trim mower that I use personally. I use it myself. And yeah, it does still have some vibration, but there's no gas fumes, and the vibration isn't as bad as a lot of tools that I've used. I can tolerate it. So just in case, for those who may be interested or looking for that sort of thing, it's not cheap. And I do share it with Dave, who does mowing for a living, landscaping mowing for a living, along with handyman tasks. But oh yay, okay, so I've got my work cut out for me, because as you saw earlier, I still have more tomatoes to plant, and my garden is a mess as usual. Choose joy. As you can see, I am excited about this. The things of this world are less and less enticing to me, as anticipated, I suppose. Oh, I'm so excited for some berries, fresh berries. All right. Hopefully this has been of benefit to you. Again, if you are looking for some, hardy seeds, I do live in southern Indiana. It's always best to get from, closer to where you live if possible. However, my garden is generally pretty neglected, and most of my diet is from what I forage, like the berries, for example, and the greens. I will link to my foraging information as well. But most of what I eat is what I grow or what I forage for. So it's probably 80% or so, because and like I said, if you want seeds from plants that produce even despite neglect, holler. I've got that. I'll link to eBay, but I also will link to my website. You can also email nontoxic@protonmail.com. So, goodness. But listen, just listen. Obviously, you can hear the air conditioner behind me. Sorry about that. But there are maybe a handful of birds I'm hearing right now. And crickets. Lots of crickets. I'm not hearing frogs jumping into water. There are frogs around here still, and I've seen 2 turtles this year. I was very excited to see those turtles. Love having turtle visitors. Cute little fellas. Yeah. Even despite, the toxicity of the world and how nature is struggling, it still gives me solace. Hang in there, guys. Non-toxic out.